You are now listening to the Anxious Ambition podcast, where you'll be hearing real people having raw, unfiltered conversations surrounding mental health. Our hope is that by listening to our stories, trials, and tribulations, that you are inspired to keep fighting your own battles with mental illness. Enjoy the show. All right, well, let's get right into it. So this is the first podcast for Anxious Ambition. Excuse us, this is definitely our first one, so there's going to be some kinks we're going to be trying to get out. But I'm Justin, I'm the founder of Anxious Ambition, and my co-host is going to be Chance Savant. Chance, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Chance Savant. I am a mental health advocate, and I work for the National Alliance of Mental Illness.
I'm just a mental health advocate. I like to promote on mental health because I know when you're in that dark place, just hearing people's stories really, it's so helpful.
A lot of the educational programs and the groups that I teach and deal with my job, it's all about shared empathy and shared stories of just explaining what you go through, what your symptoms look like, what your mania looks like, what your depression looks like, all things that deal with triggers. And it's easier to just learn from other people's coping strategies and hear people's stories because you can relate to them a lot quicker and a lot easier. And that's what all NAMI is used for. If you ask anyone at NAMI, it's all going to be about shared stories. That's what we base everything upon. This whole organization is built upon the fact that we have to talk about our experiences when it comes to mental health, or we won't be able to help anyone,
right?
Or even ourselves.
That's super important too. I mean, I think even though some of that stuff might be anecdotal, it's the stuff that works. Your parents, you might say, "Hey, try this," and they don't know. They might not be going through it, so they're just throwing stuff at you, which they care about you. But if you tell me, "Hey, this worked for me," I'm going to trust you because I know you deal with it. So just kind of think about what you deal with. Personally, just some background. I deal with mainly OCD, generalized anxiety, depression, and then ADHD. So just not going to go too far into it today, but that's what I deal with. How about you, Chance?
So my diagnosis is general anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, and I'm also ADD. When I was younger, I did suffer with OCD a lot, but I think I just grew out of it because my parents were so strict that I just had to.
Yeah, I hear you.
Or I just get in trouble sometimes because there was a lot of things that would make me anxious and I'd obsess over. And then I the thought process of I have to do this, I have to fix this.
For sure.
It mostly came in huge waves when I would get ready for bed. So then I think it was just this was when I wouldn't even say I was 10. And I just remember dealing with that and always thinking when I got into high school and I got stressed, it'd come back. But I'm not actually diagnosed OCD. But yeah, my worst one would have to be my depressive disorder. I do struggle a lot with anxiety, but anxiety is sometimes short term for me.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm depressed, it lasts longer, and I'm a very external person. I'm very extroverted. So when I am depressed and I don't talk about my feelings, I just sit in my own mind and I think about it over and over again. And that just wears me down more than my anxiety does. And I don't take antidepressants. I was on them for a while, and then I got off, and I've been lucky enough so far to be able to not get so depressed again or get into those moods that I haven't had to get back on medicine. But I know, that day will come.
Right.
That time will come. It happens to everyone.
Right. You're not, ignorant to it. It's going to come, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way, actually. Anxiety is the constant, and nowadays it's bearable. I kind of just don't really fight it anymore. It kind of just happens. And for me, I deal with seasonal affective disorder. Happens every year. My depression hits hard.
Yes.
So usually, I'll end up getting on something, medication, and it helps. I just want to say I'm not anti-medication. I don't think you are either. Clearly we've both been on them, been off them. So just some background on that. If you are taking
I
some,
am,
yeah, don't feel weak, because that's
yeah,
bullshit. So
I don't ever want it to come off as like just because I'm not medicated right
right,
now that I'm against it. I'm 100% for being medicated when it comes to mental illness. I work in a field where I see serious mental illness such as schizophrenia, like more serious ones where like
right,
if you're not medicated, you can really really like your life can really go into shambles and you can lose pretty much everything.
right,
Um and so I was just at a point in where I see a psychiatrist every
hmm
2 weeks. I work for a mental advocacy organization, so I'm constantly being taught new things.
right,
I'm 23. I live in a town where all my friends never moved away from, so it's easy for me right now to not be on medicine because I am strictly, mostly relying on coping strategies.
right,
And I remember when I told my parents that I was thinking about getting off of my Zoloft,
hmm
and my mom was just like really worried and really concerned, and I was like, look, like if I have any time to do it, it's right now because I'm young and I have a lot of freedom.
right,
I was like, because I know when I come 30 or like, and I'm getting later into my 20s and I'm more of just a routine where I go to work, I'm done with graduate school,
hmm
I'm going to have to get back on my medicine. Like I just won't have the time to do all the things I can do now
oh,
to stay like
absolutely,
mentally well.
yeah, that's actually huge too. Because I mean, for me, I suffered with it a lot in college, but I mean, it's just a heads up too. This podcast is going to be uncensored, so uh, you know, it, you're gonna hear some cuss words, some topics you might.
Lots of
It's not
F
gonna be
bombs.
very PC. Yeah, I mean, when I was 18 is when I like went to the doctor and told him I don't know what it was, but uh, I think what I described was anxiety, and he gave me a medication. I didn't know how to take it. I took it like every other day. Just not the right way to take it. Thought it was bullshit, and then just pretty much got high every day. I mean, nothing against smoking, but for me, it just kind of like hit everything, and kind of like what you said. I had to get into the real world, and I couldn't just like smoke weed all day. So like when I got off, stopped doing that so much, and it was like the anxiety was so debilitating. It's like I had to,
Hmm.
it comes to a point where people ask me like, do you think I should take medication? It's like, one, I'm not a doctor, but at the same time, if you're if if you can get by without it, go for it. But for me, I was in the state where it was affecting work and family and shit. And you that's to the point where go to the doctor and get some help. That's kind of where I stand on it. Just like your point, once you get to the real world, you can't just take the day off all the time or chill all day, and it's not really an
Yeah.
option anymore. So,
You have so many more responsibilities.
oh, for sure, yeah, I think that's the major thing.
Yeah, my hospital visit was a little different. I was kind of forced into going see the
Really,
doctor to talk about my mental illness, well, my mental health at that time.
right,
I was in college. I was a junior. Uh, I've been living on my own for about 3 years, I want to say, and I just moved in to a new house with one of my good buddies. Well, it's his house, and he was just kind of the only person I told what was going down. And this was when it was like at the peak of like just I was depressed. Like there's no going back. And I was smoking weed every day.
right,
And
right.
weed is a depressant.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know it cures all anxiety. Well, not it doesn't cure all anxiety.
yeah,
Everyone has those bad highs where you're even more anxious. But
yeah.
and my roommate just kind of like went behind my back. And I mean I say it behind my back, and now at the time that's how it felt.
Mm-hmm.
But now, a year away from that mindset, and actually 2 years away, I'm very thankful he did call my parents. He called my mom
Right. Just
and
being a real
told her
friend,
everything that was happening. My mom, yeah, and my mom just kind of like, she called me up and she's like, "Hey, look, uh, you're gonna have to go to the doctor. I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to also go to a psychiatrist.
Right.
Like, I know you're not doing well." And then I went to the doctor and I told them everything. And it didn't help that I had lost about 50 pounds, quit my job, completely transferred to online school. Like the signs were all
Oh
there.
yeah, right.
But
right,
just,
exactly. Shit. But it's hard to recognize it when you're
but
in
it was
it,
good.
you know?
Oh, I was so fucking prideful about it. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm studying to be a fucking psychologist.
Right.
I know how to fix myself. And then I wouldn't, ever talk about it, and then I would lay down and just cry myself to sleep because I was so fucking sad
Mm-hmm.
and just miserable. And I'd always explain it. My depression is very melancholy.
Yeah.
In a sense that I'm not sad. I just know something's fucking off, and I
Same.
can tell something's off, and it bugs me, and that's when my anxiety comes into play, and then I get more anxious. But that's just 10 minutes after I wake up. The rest of the day is where I see like the more the withdrawals from people,
Mm-hmm.
the lack of motivation. Like no, I didn't have any empathy for people.
Yeah, that's the fucking worst. Yeah.
Depression sucks. All mental illness sucks.
Yeah. But I mean, it sounds like you're super aware of it. That's definitely a strength. So some people just kind of play it off. Being aware of it is, especially now. I mean, I'm sure, like for me, I start recognizing, like you said, you recognize with signs, like, okay, you stop really giving a shit. The empathy goes away. It's like, all right, it's back. Let's see how long I can, get on this horse without needing help.
You have to be aware of, like, I always lived my life until I got diagnosed, until I had all of those, till everything just came crashing down. I was just constantly on the go. Like I never stopped. I never cared to take care of myself because like I'm an extrovert, so I love people like with all my might, and I love being around people. So I never had to like take the time away to like sit myself down. And then when I got told I had, these mental illnesses, I had these disorders, I just like my whole world had to completely, like I had to change it so much. I had to start taking time for myself, and I had to really understand and get to know myself, which was something I've never done in my life because I was always like, I want to get to know other people. Like I don't need to get to know me. Like I'm going to be me for 80 years, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. Right. But I'm not going to get to know this person. I'm not going to get to know Justin for 80 years. So like I need to like invest time in knowing this person's heart and knowing this person's like, strengths and stuff like that. And that's just how I was. And then getting, that slap in the face and that, that setback, I had to really focus on myself. And I think that's required and needed when dealing with a mental illness, especially if you're not medicated, especially if you're against medications. Because I'm all for medicine, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it and bullshit y'all. Medication is hard as hell when it comes to psychoactive drugs. They are so hard. They have not been fully created perfectly yet. Like, there's a million of them, and everyone comes with a million different with like side effects.
Oh, for sure.
I could sit here and talk about them all day.
Yeah.
So just
that's another pod. Whole another one.
Podcast another day.
Yeah.
So put that in the Google Doc.
Right. What you're saying about having to work on yourself, I think kind of what you're saying, I don't want to say it's a coping opposite of a defense mechanism, but you don't want to work on yourself because you're fucked. You have to go deep and actually attack some of this shit. You mentioned you're trying to meet other people and all that, and sometimes when you're alone, it's the hardest time because you can't really run away from it anymore. I mean, you can with technology now. I mean, you can, I've definitely done it. You sit on your phone all day to distract yourself from what you need to do, and it's hard, but it definitely needs to be done.
No, for sure. It is. It's difficult. It's a war, and it kind of sucks that it's a war with yourself. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm always going to know who I am best when I do the actual care to take care of myself and get to know myself. So there's no other opponent easier to beat than yourself.
Right.
I hate when people are like, it's so hard to beat yourself. No, it's pretty easy to beat yourself.
Right.
I grew up playing sports. It was very easy to get, choke at bat or just straight up, get in your mind. And you can use that in positive ways at the same time.
Right. I think too, I mean, I don't want people listening to this think we're just, I don't say bitching for like attention. This is all about, I want someone to hear this and be like, I'm dealing with the same thing. And, when you're in those states, like, you are in, and I've been in and out of, you feel like you're the only one dealing with it. So you kind of think you're going crazy, and you hear people, you talk to someone about it and they're like, oh, I deal with the exact same thing. It's definitely a relief. There's millions of people that deal with anxiety and depression and other mental illnesses. And, yeah, I deal with that stuff, but I'm still living a life. I still have a job, a family, you know, friends, just like you, where it sucks, but just like anything, you kind of just roll with the punches. I mean, some people are diabetic and missing limbs, and everyone's got something. Everyone's fucked up in some way,
Yeah,
shape, or
everyone's
form. Uh, everyone's
no
got
for real.
something.
There's so I do this support group
Hmm.
that I lead for NAMI. It's called Recovery Connections, and I'm 23.
Mm.
For those of I feel like I might need to say that because you can't see me.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but so I'm rather young. I'm fresh out of college, and I lead this support group for adults, like adults, not like Justin, people who are
Right.
like
I'm I'm
28.
I'm 29, not that much older,
Oh
but
shit,
yeah,
sorry.
I'm a millennial. I'm a little.
Okay, woo. We love millennials though, so it's fine. This
Yeah.
show will support
People
Gen Z and
fucking hate
millennials.
millennials.
Okay, yeah,
That's a
the
whole other
boomers
thing.
do.
It's their fault.
The boomers really fucking hate millennials. Oh, the support group that I lead
Hmm.
every 2 and 4th Friday of the month. It's for adults, and I always get like 50 and 60-year-olds. I have this 170-year-old guy in there, and
Damn.
they just I love it because they look for me for advice, and I'm just like, y'all been living your whole life with
Right.
these mental illnesses, like you have
Right.
families, like y'all have a 401k, like why do you need advice from me? Like, and I
Right.
always like make sure I'm not supposed to do this, but at the end, I'm like, can y'all give me advice? Like,
Hmm.
because where I'm sitting, y'all have figured it out. Like,
Right.
you have, like, this isn't an actual person, this is an actual disease. Like, it's complete confidentiality.
Hmm.
So I'm just making this up on top of my head. But, like, say I have this 65-year-old man who has schizophrenia and, like, very serious schizophrenia, and with OCD and also, a lot of anxiety and anxiety disorder. This dude has had a whole family, has raised kids. He lives on his own now because he's a widower, and he's worked his whole life, and now he can live on his retirement. Like
Yeah.
that's
He's
awesome.
done some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, because as someone right now who's trying to cope with their mental illness, I'm like, how the fuck am I going to work
Right.
for the next 60 fucking years of my life when I don't
Right.
even want to wake up and like be alive?
Right.
So
Right.
like, how can I do this with a job too? And I always just like I love that Friday, like going to the support group because I'm like, these are people, these are witnesses to the fact that you can live a really fucking good and normal life
Hmm.
with a mental illness. Like
Right.
nothing like it's gonna hold you back. But as soon as you become, capable of understanding yourself and what it takes to take care of yourself, things kind of just like it's a domino effect,
Hmm.
knocks out all of them at once.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So, when I first heard of NAMI, I didn't really know exactly what it was. I just knew it was kind of the
Your
biggest.
northerner just came out.
Why? What was it?
You said the way you said exactly didn't know what it was about. Like you
Oh,
sound Canadian.
just to get it. So
It was wild.
I'm from the Chicago
They
suburbs,
called me.
and Chance is from Louisiana. So there's definitely some yin and
Yes.
yang. But yeah, like, so if I'm trying to see, if I was someone that just started dealing with mental illness, or just is struggling with mental illness, like if I wanted to seek out NAMI, what would they do for me, and kind of how do I start that process? So I think the hardest part is, getting help, or at least making that first step. It's always a hard part.
So NAMI, if you don't know what that acronym stands for, it stands for the National Alliance of Mental Illness. It was created in 1978 by these Yankees in Wisconsin, right next to Justin.
There we go.
And it was basically just a nonprofit organization that stems to advocate, educate, and support people with mental illnesses and their family members. Because as you can tell, if you're listening to this, you probably know that your mental illness does not only affect you, it affects everyone around you.
For sure.
And that sucks, but at the same time, any disorder, any disease does. It's just how the cookie crumbles. So NAMI has peer-led groups, whether it's facilitated by someone who actually has a mental illness or a family member who has, a loved one that has a mental illness. There are free program educational programs such as peer-to-peer, family-to-family, I mean, ending the silence, basics, connections, our own voice. And our own voice and ending the silence are not classes. The other ones like family, family, peer to peer, basics, connections, home front, living with yourself, and there's like three more. Those are about 12-week.
Wow.
My NAMI,
Mhm.
my affiliate, Southwest Louisiana, we have actually bumped them down to 10 weeks. We were able to move some of the material around and put it some days, other ones, but usually they range from a 12-week, once a week course,
Mhm.
about 3 hours long. It will be held at your local NAMI, and basically to get into that, you just call your
Okay.
affiliate. I don't know, like my affiliate would be Southwest Louisiana because every affiliate covers a certain amount of parishes, and you
Got
could
it.
just
Got it.
Google this. It's real easy information. Um, you Google which NAMI is closer to you, and then you call, and you straight up be very transparent with them. So if I was needing assistance
Mhm.
and wondering what NAMI could do for me, I'd call up the NAMI office. Uh, our office coordinator, Miss Gwen, would probably answer. And I'd be like, hello, I am looking for some information about what kind of classes or resources y'all provide. I currently have generalized anxiety disorder and major depressive disorder with some ADD. And the person that would be working would be like,
Okay.
okay, well, here are the classes that you qualify for. Give me your name and your number. And then when the classes get closer, we will reach out to you and
Okay.
let you know so we can put you on the list. So as soon as you give them your name and your number, you kind of become part of their list. That's how
Got
we
it.
do it.
Got it. And this is free.
Take that information, all free. Everything is free. The classes, the programs, everything is free.
That's
Also, the
awesome.
best part about NAMI is the giant ass libraries every NAMI has.
Okay.
So we have our own brochures and resources, like paper resources that cover every single mental illness, even like autism. Like we go into like the spectrum, autism spectrum disorder.
Wow.
We also have thousands of books and brochures, DVDs and CDs at all of our NAMIs that you can come out and check. The brochures you can take home, covering pretty much every single question that has been asked about mental illness. There's a brochure at the NAMI office for, and that's called our outreach, and it is how we get because NAMI is for the community. It's
Mhm.
not for the hospitals. I mean, obviously, we accommodate and help the hospitals because they're
Right.
part of the
Right.
community. You know, we're for the people in our community. We want you to walk in. I deal with so many homeless people that just stroll in every single day.
Wow.
Sometimes they don't even have mental illness. I just like, come into my office, get a bag of chips, get
Right.
some water. Like, I'm going to chat with you for the next hour. You walked into my office. I don't know what to tell you. So, and sometimes people can walk in and they'll be like, yeah, I actually have like, bipolar disorder. And my
Mhm.
NAMI, I love my NAMI. We actually have housings. So
Wow.
we do, my executive director, she is the queen. I love her. She's amazing. I don't want to be anyone but her when I grow up. She runs housing all over Louisiana and some in Texas for people with mental illness where you
Holy
can live
shit.
there pretty much for free.
That's amazing.
And I go like other than in the community going around to hospitals and sheriff departments and police academies and schools and giving presentations about mental illness and awareness, I go to these apartment complexes and that's where that's where my support group are,
Okay.
and I get to encounter these people, and I kind of have it stretched out because other than the ones in northern Louisiana, the ones that are in our 5 parishes, there's about 6 of them I get to actually go and like present to. But so like since NAMI is a nonprofit, people kind of just like pick it up as like a volunteer expo and kind of like use it.
Mhm.
So you never really know who in the office is what. So like I am like my bachelor's in sociology with a concentration in family child studies. I was going to be a social worker, but I'm the youth outreach coordinator in program development. My other coworker, she worked in the court for like 20 years for women in domestic charges.
That's wild.
And then for the next 40 years, like she's retired. And then
Mhm.
my executive director has like a business management degree where she like went to accounting. Like she runs like all kinds of things. So like all these
Mhm.
NAMIs are stacked with volunteers basically that become the owners of the affiliate because they put in so much time
Wow.
that like there's so many resources that NAMI offers that nationals doesn't even like really can do. Because like I don't know if there's any other NAMI out there that does housing for mental illness than us. Like I know
It's
I'm the
unbelievable. Like,
yeah, I know we're the only ones in the state. But so like it's free and the doors are open. They even have a warm line just to call. Like every NAMI has a phone line. It's just a phone line that you call and just talk about your problems with. It's kind of like, the suicide hotline,
mhm,
but you don't even have to be suicidal to call. You can just call to vent and like
just to
talk,
talk. Yeah.
be open, and then they will give you more resources. But basically, it's just, it's the largest grassroots nonprofit in the world. Well, in the nation, not the world.
It just seems, you hear a lot of people say, you bring up like, getting therapy or counselor, and first thing people bring up is money. You know what I mean? Oh, I can't afford it. And then you have resources like NAMI where it's completely free. I mean, yeah, it's not therapy, but it's something. It's a great place to start. And when you mentioned all the booklets and all that information, I think that's super important for family members. Like my family, sometimes it's hard for me to explain what's going on, and it may not. I'm not saying they're not going to take it seriously, but it's hard to grasp what you're going through when it's hard for you to even explain it, and they can, go to NAMI, get the information that you guys have that's factual. It's not just, you Google how to help someone with anxiety, and a lot of it's bullshit. So
I remember the first time I told my dad I had depression,
yeah.
like when I was on my medicine. He was like, "What do you have to be depressed
Oh
about?"
God, fuck.
I was like,
that.
"Well, Randy, if I knew, don't
Right.
you think I would be better?"
Right.
Thanks, Ray Ray. I
Uh-huh.
remember I was like almost in tears. I
Yeah.
didn't talk to him for like a week. I was so pissed off.
Yeah,
But
I know all about that.
it is hard, and that's why I go to all these places and I present about NAMI. And I just give the spill that I just gave y'all.
Right.
But it's a lot well structured because I usually have note cards
Some
in front
notes,
of me.
yeah.
But and I love people coming up to me like, "Oh, my son suffers with this and this," and like I never know. Like I remember I had this one mom. I went to a school in service, and after I shared my story, first of all, she like raised her hand and she was like, "You are so loved," and I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
like that's so sweet."
It's like, oh,
Get back to like the
right.
business. But
Refocus.
that's yeah. This other lady came up to me and she was just like, "I don't know how to love my son because he has a mental illness."
Yeah.
That like just fucking destroyed my
Yeah.
heart. First of all, but like I instantly saw like my mom and my dad and my sister like being
Mhm.
able to say that. And don't get me wrong, my parents, other than that one time with my dad, my sister, my brother-in-law, my mom, my dad, and my little sisters, they all love me extremely well when it comes to my mental illness.
Agreed. Shout
They
out
basically
to
have
moms.
shout out to my family. I remember my counselor was like, "There's a lot of things wrong with you, but your family is not one." And I was like, "I know. Don't worry. I am very blessed with an amazing family. I'm actually getting a nephew in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's
so
awesome.
shout out
Congrats.
to my sister.
Yeah, congrats.
Before we started recording this, she was like, "I can't wait to listen to this podcast." She's like my biggest fan.
That's
But
awesome.
at the same time, getting to hear like parents be completely open about how just lonely they feel, because I
Mhm.
could imagine if the roles were reversed, I would definitely feel lonely and very helpless in a sense that like I know how my mom felt like that when I
Mhm.
was really sick, when I was really depressed. And it's just really cool that NAMI has went above and beyond to formulate and make these courses for individuals to get better, but also
Mhm.
every single course that one person is offered because they have a mental illness, their family member is offered the exact same.
See, that's cool.
And it's all centered. And so I just think like that's just something that isn't done a lot. There's a lot of great things about NAMI. I love NAMI.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They're really good. They help a lot. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, like I had no idea they did all that. When I first heard of NAMI, I just kind of thought I don't know, I don't want to say try to prevent suicide or something, but that's kind of what you hear mental health, foundations are all about. And it's way more than that. It's, kind of remarkable. And you brought up family. Isn't the worst part, when they can't help? I think that's,
For sure.
you're in that mood, and sometimes it's hard, for someone to realize that. But if you got your mom or loved one, and they're trying to help, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it's just you're really fucked up and super depressed, and maybe you're dealing with some starting side effects with like for me, if I get back on a medication, those like first 4 weeks, their hell, and it doesn't
Absolutely.
doesn't fucking matter what people try to do, and you try to be appreciative, but sometimes you're just you're little you're taking a medication that's affecting your brain chemicals. It's tough.
Completely. So since I'm off of my medicine since last June,
Okay.
actually May, I started with like going off of it. I can't think of the word right now. I don't know. I sound so dumb.
Like tapering off, or
What is that? Yeah, it's not tapering. We don't use tapering down here. I don't know what the hell that means.
maybe you should.
What's it called? Weaning.
Weaning.
Yourself
Okay.
off.
All right. That's at least it's the same thing. I was gonna say.
I just never heard
we
the
just
word
do cold turkey
tapering
out here.
before.
Us Southerners just stop
Yeah.
fucking taking it.
I'm gonna be completely honest. Now that you said the word tapering,
Yeah.
I know what that word. I've seen it before, and I've always pronounced it tappering.
Oh yeah, you're
So
wrong.
I'm an
wrong.
idiot. I'm illiterate. I promise I have 2 college degrees. But yeah, I'm completely wrong. I'm such an idiot. But I weaned myself off all of I took April and May to wean myself off because I'm scared as hell to have withdrawal when it comes to a psychoactive drug.
Yeah, it's not fun.
But so my seasonal affective disorder, same as you, kind of like hit me really hard this winter.
Right.
And also my dad has recently just got diagnosed with cancer again.
Oh, sorry to
So
hear
that was just like stress. Yeah, me too, man. It sucks, especially since he just beat lung cancer in July.
Fuck.
But he's just got to do his thing and he'll be good. So we took this huge family but we took this huge family gathering. So I have 3 sisters. My eldest one, it was her and me for 20 years. Good times. And then my family just adopted my 2 little cousins. So now I have 2 little sisters one turns 10 in 2 days, and the other one is 3 days before I was born. 3 days before my birthday, and she turns 9 in May.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's huge. Like my parents are in their 60s, about to retire, and like they adopted these kids when they were literally 3 and 4. So like complete restart.
All right.
I
thought you were about to say they popped out a kid at 60, and I was about to.
Oh
ask
God,
more
no.
questions.
No. They just adopted 2 new ones.
Okay.
So we have to, me and my sister have to like go to these fun, we went to go ice skating and watch like some stupid parade for my little sisters.
Yeah.
And we made it a family event. Actually, it was really fun. I'm not gonna lie. That parade was lit as hell. But it was cold, and watching them ice skate wasn't fun. But I got to spend time with my family. And then when night was wrapping up, I got very anxious because I think just being around my family a lot, and not to mention like I was in a depressive mood because my seasonal affective disorder was kicking in, like it was peaking at that time.
Yep.
And so I'm in the backseat of my car, and my dad was in the truck, and we all rode there. But we met my brother-in-law there and my sister. And so I'm in the backseat with my 2 little sisters and my mom, and my eldest sister, who's like 7 months pregnant at the time, was in the front seat. And I don't know what is up with like boomers and how they don't understand how to order at a drive-thru. And my dad was just like completely roasting this poor girl like after the mic was off, and he does this all the time. I cannot stand ordering fast food with him. I have to do it myself because he just doesn't understand. Well, I don't know what it triggered
just
me.
like
Just
rude
like how
or
it's just like me. Yeah, he was just rude. He was like, "Are you gonna fucking respond?" like saying that to my sister, like making a joke, but like the microphone is on and they can hear it.
They can always hear you.
And then, yeah, so like 20 feet too. Like you could be 20 feet away from the microphone, they can hear you. I made the mistake one time of like roasting someone behind a microphone at a drive-thru, and when I pulled around, she went off on me. So I learned good manners real quick. I was like,
you live in your
in like 9th grade. I was like, "I'm so sorry, sir," but. So it just triggered me that my dad was just kind of acting like that. And I went into a full-blown anxiety attack. And my mom was sitting in the back of the car. Like I could have, talked to her and kind of like consoled her. But I just kind of kept it to myself because I knew, because I was depressed, like I was in a depressive mood and I was having an anxiety attack. I was like, I actually want everyone in this car to not talk for the next
Yeah.
20 minutes. And so it is hard to reach out for help when you're in an anxiety attack or you're in a depressive mood or you're just in like a manic episode or any of that,
Right.
because that's not going to help. Like, I love my family and I love everyone around me, but
You just want to tell them to shut the fuck up.
like, just get away from me.
Right.
I was hanging out with my cousins the other day. Well, they're not my cousins. One of them's my cousin, but
Bayou
and she
cousins.
married Bayou cousins. I have so many cousins. Like, it's crazy. But this is my first cousin. She married my friend named Aaron. He wasn't my friend before. He's my friend now that they're married. And we were hanging out, and I was in a whole ass anxiety attack for about 20 minutes, and I didn't tell them.
Right.
And then finally, they were like just talking to each other like nonstop. They're a married couple. They're just, they're talking about their day. They just work. And I'm in this anxiety attack that I'm like,
Right.
like I'm taking
play
like
it
I'm
off.
like
Yeah.
no, I wasn't playing it off.
No.
Because at this point I'd been playing it off for about 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. It's too
And
long.
then they hadn't shut the fuck up. So I was like like breathing like really obnoxiously like in their face, and they're like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm about minute 25 of a whole ass anxiety attack right now. I need y'all to really just leave the room." And I'm like at their house. How rude.
Yeah,
So like I like blunt force tell them that, and they were just like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." And my cousin, her husband, just like comes up to me. He's like, "You good, dude?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"No,
yeah.
I'm not good, dude. Like, I'm actually miserable." But like
it makes
just
it so
him
much
like
worse too.
yeah, because like I don't know. I was glad I said I was in anxiety attack, because when he said that, like, it didn't set me off in the way that like usually when people ask me that, because this my cousin's husband Aaron, he's not really like, he's gonna ask you what's good, but like he was just like, I don't know, he's just very nurturing. He was like, "Are you okay? Like, what? Are you good?"
Right.
And I was just like, "Okay, well that actually helps. Like, that's pretty cool." Like, it was the first time, but I don't know. That was just like the one time that it ever actually turned out to be good when I expressed that I was going through an anxiety attack.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know. I think it's just kind of like your own personal experience with them. Like, I like to be alone. I don't like to be alone. Like, I like when someone's just sitting there. My roommate, he has to deal a lot with my anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes he'll know without me even saying anything that I'm in an anxiety attack, and just plop his ass right next to me and just be like, doesn't say a word.
See, that's
just,
cool
like,
though.
just chills with me.
Your thunder buddy.
I'm like, "You're a good friend." Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is with my
We're
wife
not
too.
thunder.
You just she'll know, and it's just kind of, she knows to kind of quiet down, and that's how I am with her too. But like, I kind of like being alone sometimes when I'm having an attack. Just 5-10 minutes and I'll be straight. And you mean hopefully, but sometimes it helps. Just
I don't know.
chill out, do some deep breathing, and I'm usually pretty straight. But do you remember, the first when you first like realized you had, I don't want to say a mental disorder, but just like when you remember like feeling like something was different, or like anxiety, something like that?
Yes. So, that's how I found out I was ADD.
No, yeah.
About to talk some mad shit about the hospital in Kinder, Louisiana.
Get him.
I had woke up. I had this really bad dream. It was really weird. Dreams trigger my mental health. I don't know if that's for you.
No, actually,
But if I'm dreaming a weird,
that happened to me today. So yeah, I get it. Yeah.
yeah, like if I'm having a bad dream, I will like, or just like a weird dream, like that's something not
It's the weird
soothing.
ones usually. Yeah.
I've been having some weird ass dreams.
Yeah.
Like, I was Harry Potter like 2 nights in a row.
Gotta lay off the
my dreams.
peyote.
I would
I'm just
never.
kidding. No, don't fuck with peyote, kids.
That's not a dream, actually. That's some real shit.
Yeah.
So don't fuck with peyote. Oh, my first
so your
anxiety
dreams,
attack.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a really weird dream. I would explain it, but it's pretty personal.
Yeah,
It was just terrifying. And I woke up with a huge pit in my stomach, and everything was just off. Like, I could not concentrate. All I could think about was how my stomach was on fire. Like, my chest was literally, like, my heart was in my stomach. I literally thought my heart fell into my stomach. I was a freshman, so I was dumb.
Okay.
Well, dumber than I am now.
Yeah.
And
Of high school?
Yeah, freshman of
Okay.
high school.
Oh yeah, those good times.
And so like I was just had this burning in my stomach, like this pit, and it just got deeper. And like I got chills and like a warm sensation all over my body every time I would think about it. And it stayed for about an hour. I remember I woke up, it was like 5 a.m. I had summer workouts like in 2 hours for football. I remember I woke up and I was like, well, this is fucking strange.
Mm.
So I went and watched um, Digimon on
Oh,
PBS or whatever channel it
dude,
came on.
that's the goat.
I love Digimon. So I was watching it
Team
because it
Argumon.
came on early. Oh yeah, it came on early as fuck in the morning. So I was watching it and it went away. Just randomly went away. I didn't. I never talked about it again.
Hmm.
I was just like, okay, that didn't happen.
Right.
I just won't ever talk about it. And then, um, I woke up again one day, and this time it was back, and it was more intense, and it was focused around a thought. And it stayed for about 2 months. That feeling in my stomach. I don't know what the fuck this was, but this was the first time I ever noticed that. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I think my thoughts kind of like affect how I feel. Like, I think I registered something. And I went to the doctor. I told my mom finally. I was like, hey,
Hmm.
because I kind of got into a depression with it because it just wore me out
Right.
constantly.
Right.
And now I still that feeling comes back when I have really bad anxiety attacks,
Yeah.
but it's like it's not it's about 5 minutes long, and that's when I
Hmm.
start having like I can catch my breath, my heart's racing, I'm sweating, not in my face, but my hands get really sweaty. Like sometimes when I have an anxiety attack, I can't grasp to something
Yeah.
because my hands are so sweaty
Oh
and
yeah.
they're so shaky. Um, so I went to the doctor and I told her that, and I kind of told her how, my mind never stops like thinking.
Hmm.
Like I go to bed thinking this huge long thought process about something that hasn't even happened yet, or something that did happen in the back of like years before. And it's not even like negative things. It's just like,
Hmm.
oh, I didn't say hi to this person in the hallway. And like
Yeah.
I'll just go onto a huge long tangent in my mind, and then I'll just stress myself out. And that's when my doctor was like, because I had pretty good grades.
Hmm.
I just A's and B's in high school. Anyway, so I went to the doctor and I
Hmm.
told her how I'd been lacking in like concentration and all that. And she just told me I was ADD and she put me on Adderall, which fun fact is like a molecule away from being meth.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's an
so
amphetamine.
yeah, it's
It's
amphetamine. So my mom was like, "No, you're not taking that." And then I remember
smart
like
mom.
a couple months after that, I had to visit. Yeah, I didn't get on my Adderall until college, thank God,
Hmm.
because I don't think I could have survived on that shit in high school.
No.
I've been a hell of an athlete though.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
So that's kind of when you knew.
I would have focused. That's when I knew like there was something off of my brain that it wasn't. My brain wasn't like everyone else's.
Hmm. Mine story is a little bit different. Mine all start with mine starts at OCD.
Okay.
So it always start with like sports. You know, like rituals. Do you have a bunch of rituals?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's like where mine started. It was like,
Like ritual is like the night before,
oh, mine was like,
like all day in the night before.
see, I didn't do that. Mine was like during. So it would be like I would tie my shoes like 10 times because it didn't like the whole like feeling right feeling. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like and then it would be like, oh man, it was just everything. Like I would bounce the ball a couple times. I would wipe if I didn't wipe my shoes before every single play, and then it just like just spiraled into everything. And
hmm
then I know you're younger, but do you remember watching True Life on MTV?
That is weird as fuck that you said that
Yeah.
because next thing I was going to say was about true life.
Oh, dude, that's how I knew.
My life with OCD.
Yeah. So I used to watch that show religiously. It just if you haven't watched it, it's basically just they follow fucked up people and tell their story for like a whole episode, pretty much. And so one episode was True Life. I have obsessive compulsive disorder, and I'm watching it like, all right, I guess this is what it is. And that's kind of actually when I found out like that I had OCD, and then I kind of didn't really do anything about it. It's just kind of it put like a name to it for me, and then it's probably like 4 years later when I actually told like the doctor about it, and then that was like 18 when he gave me the medication and all that. But yeah, it was True Life, and I one thing I want to get off my chest. Do you ever get triggered when people say they have OCD and they're like just like being clean.
Okay.
That shit fucking
I
triggers me.
It doesn't trigger me because I don't have OCD, but
Hmm.
every single time someone says that, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you're a fucking dumbass. Like if you actually had OCD, you would slap the shit out of yourself for saying that. Like, so
Yes.
I know what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
that is aggravating as fuck.
Yeah. Like I don't really like let it get to me that much, but I just had to say it. Like, yes, some people who have OCD are like obsessively clean and shit, but that doesn't. It's not obsessively clean disorder. It's just not. It's not what the C
Yeah,
means. It's not.
it's compulsive.
Yeah. Right.
And there's
Which affects my
I
thoughts
have a
too. It's
guy
not
in
just
my
that. Yeah.
there's a guy in my support group that he doesn't really understand that he's known as mental illness. He's one of the less well lived lives.
Gotcha.
He's had a good life,
Hmm.
but he has not taken care of himself when it comes to accepting the fact that he has a mental illness.
Hmm.
And his big one is OCD.
Yeah.
And he'll be sharing and be like, I don't have OCD. Like, no, I don't have OCD. But the whole time I bring him snacks.
Mhm.
He's like organizing while he's talking to me, like
Right.
tapping something a certain amount of time
Hmm.
and like moving something a certain amount of time. And I'm like, what was that? That little compulse that you just did. And obviously, you don't say that because I'm not a doctor.
Right. Right.
But I'm like thinking in my mind, like, yeah, you do. Like, and I don't know. I haven't, other than him, I haven't really experienced
Hmm.
meeting someone with obsessive compulsive disorder. And since today's like the first day I've ever seen your face,
Right.
in live stereo, it's like, I want to know, like, I'm very intrigued, like, how you live with that.
Yeah, it's definitely, to be honest, it's gotten way better. Like I still do things here and there, but if it's not
Mhm.
affecting me, like if it's not like deterring me from doing things or like slowing me down, I really don't like fight it anymore kind of things. Like I used to have tons of different rituals. Like did you ever like have you ever seen like a headlight go out in a car, you like touch the roof of your
Sex.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we play. It's called sex.
Yeah, we call it sex too.
And the back headlight is called butt sex. And
Yeah.
whoever hits it last has to take a piece of clothes off.
No, we didn't do that.
Okay,
That's
well,
not by me.
that's how we played it in the gully.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But like that one, so I from like 16 to like 18, if I like didn't do that, like it was just nuts. And so like I eventually like when I actually started taking medications here and there, I just kind of like each day I would be like, all right, I'm not going to do this. Like I'm just not going to do this ritual, see what happens. And of course nothing happened. So I mean, I know it's easier said than done, so I'm not saying it, I don't want to belittle it, but that's kind of how I dealt with it. It wasn't as extreme. I think I kind of grew out of it, if anything. My thoughts are definitely still a little bit obsessive, which I think kind of helps me in some ways because I'll get like obsessed with something and motivate myself to do it, kind of thing. But yeah, the rituals, it's something that's kind of just I've realized that if it's not slowing me down for the day or it's not a nuisance for someone else, I'll just kind of keep doing it. Or like when I put the dog leash away, I have to put it a certain way. But like some days I'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? And just put it down and just like walk away because like it just doesn't like freak me out anymore. But if I'm like super anxious like already, then I'll like do it a couple times. But it's weird. But it's just like the True Life. So if you want to watch this means pretty funny actually, but True Life, I have OCD. But,
That is a good one. I've watched all the True Lives. I used to
Oh,
always
for
watch
sure.
Made.
oh yeah,
I loved Made. And
It's a classic.
Parental Control and Next. Those are
yeah. Oh god, all those.
you're the same age as my sister, so
Okay.
I've watched pretty much everything you've watched.
Yeah. God, Next. That show was just fake though.
I always wanted to go on Next, but I wanted to be like the person like Next. Like I didn't want to be on the bus.
Oh no. How about Room Raiders?
I didn't want to be one of the choices. I wanted to be the main option, the main course.
Yeah.
But I did love MTV, but
Yeah.
my generation got like Jersey Shore and shit like that, which I'm not complaining.
No, I love Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore was amazing.
Yeah, we had Jersey Shore when I first started college, so it's pretty nuts.
I actually wanted my senior trip from high school to be at the shore. My best friend got married in November, and like my best friend in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the best man in the wedding, and when I was throwing out ideas, I was like, what if we just went to the Jersey Shore and we like went to Karma and like we just
That
did
would
all
be-
this fun shit.
God,
Like we went to the boardwalk.
I gotta
and
redo
I
my
like looked it
bachelor
up.
party.
Yeah, that would have been a fun ass bachelor party, but I had planned it and everything, but it was like I knew like he would go because I was paying
Hmm.
for everything for him, but like none of the other groomsmen and
Expensive.
ushers. Yeah, it's like $30,000 fucking dollars.
Uh,
It's once in a life. You're going to the Jersey Shore, dude. Like
yeah,
you're going
true.
to the boardwalk where Snooki got arrested and screamed, "Where's the beach?" when it was literally right in front of her. Where's the fucking beach?
Oh man, God.
So it was in real world.
Hmm. All right. Well, we're kind of getting off topic, which is fine. But do you want to wrap it up with the? Was it Would You Rather?
Okay.
So
All right.
I think what we're gonna do
So
every episode is kind of end with a Would You Rather, just because it's fun.
it's something to leave our viewers with.
Hmm.
Get a little bit of a personality. All right. So these are pretty basic because it was our first one, but they'll be more intense as the podcast come on. Justin,
Uh-huh.
would you rather be blind or deaf?
Okay. Well, the first question: am I born blind or deaf, or is it just gonna happen? Because that definitely
Okay, well, I don't know.
no. Just think
That does play a big
it
role
plays
in
a big
but
role.
Google didn't give me that much information.
All right. Well, all right. Well,
I got these straight from Google.
this is honestly super hard because initially I said
What would you rather do?
initially I was saying deaf because I think I can handle, but then I was thinking I don't know. Can you imagine just not being able to like? I feel like I'd be
Listen
trapped
to music.
or like trapped in my head and not be able to like I don't know like
Oh shit!
talking. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of not that you can't talk. I know.
That'd be very intense.
Yeah, I think
I
I'd have
just-
to pick deaf though, but obviously if I had to pick one, but
They each come with their disadvantages.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, neither one of these is an advantage.
that's why they're disabilities,
But,
right?
I mean, I just could not give up my eyesight.
Right.
But
Right.
the number one thing that I love the most in this world is music. I can't sing, so don't think I'm like some kind of music prodigy. I just fucking love music. I adore it. It's also one of my main coping strategies.
Right.
So becoming deaf, I would have to lose a lot of myself in that. But I just couldn't be blind. Like, I'm
It's-
sorry. I couldn't.
It'd be so hard.
I couldn't live in darkness. Can you drive if you're deaf?
See, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, if you can drive if you're deaf, but you definitely can't if you're blind.
Oh fuck!
At least not yet.
Subway all day long. Yeah, and like I mean, you couldn't. So like, if you're deaf, at least like I've always wanted to learn ASL.
Yeah.
I think it should be taught in our schools.
Mhm.
If I ever become president, it's the first law I'm making. But like, I can't just like walk across the street to read some braille.
No.
As where I can walk across the street perfectly safe if I'm deaf. And I wouldn't have to read braille
Hey,
unless it was an audio message. Then
disclaimer: if you're listening to this and you're blind,
I'm so
good
sorry.
good for you.
Yeah, like you've got to go.
Yeah, that's
My grandpa was blind.
oh shit. Really? Born blind?
He went blind.
See,
It was
that would,
crazy.
that's see that's different. Like if I went deaf, I think I could handle it a little better.
Yeah, I don't know how he.
Or no,
like-
opposite. If I was born deaf, it'd be a little easier.
Oh, for sure.
Right. You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't want to be born deaf because if you're born deaf, you have no you won't be
Oh.
able to talk. Would you rather create history or delete it?
I'm a no regrets kind of guy, so I'm gonna go create history. I don't really want to delete anything.
Okay, see,
What are you thinking?
I'm down for that. I understand that. I don't. I mean, I would like both honestly if I got the choice.
Right.
But that's why it's called Would You Rather.
Right.
I definitely have to create it.
Right.
I don't think there. I mean, there's a lot that I would delete out of history.
Yeah, it's a lot of horrid shit.
like
but
the Holocaust,
yeah.
slavery, Trail of Tears, not trial. Jesus, I'm an idiot. Jesus' death would be one. Well, actually, no. Then we wouldn't, be absolved from our friend's sins.
Dumb
Sorry,
and
that
Dumber,
got
Dumb
really
and Dumber 2.
Christian-y. When Harry Met Lloyd, I love Dumb and Dumber
No,
2.
we gotta get rid of we're gonna get rid of that.
Okay.
No, not Dumb and
That's
Dumber.
really weird that you
that's
said that.
different.
Oh, the new
Dumb
one,
and Dumber is all right. Dumb and Dumber
like
2
the one
gone.
that was made like 3 years
Yes.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Gone.
haven't even watched
Me either. That's what.
because I love Dumb and Dumber.
Well, yeah, it's a
Me and my
classic.
sister were just talking about that yesterday because she dropped some salt, and I was like, "Throw it over your shoulder." Remember when he throws it and it hits that guy?
Yes.
Oh, I love that show. But yeah, I'd have to definitely create history because I'm pretty prideful,
Mm-hmm.
and I would love for everyone to know me.
Yeah, I'm
for
gonna
the
say I think
and
my
for-
ego. I think my ego would get in the way too. I think I'd want to create something. All right, let me ask you the next one.
Okay.
Would you rather be the smartest or the richest person?
Um.
It's tough.
So I'm very shallow. The
That's
richest
fine.
person really appeals to me,
Mm-hmm.
but also at the time, I really admire knowledge. So I would definitely want to be the smartest person.
All right. So I respect your answer, but for the same
Would you be
reason,
smartest?
no, for the same reason, I'd want to be the richest person because you can always
Okay.
learn and buy books and if you
I
have
mean,
money,
don't get me wrong.
you have time to learn. If you're smart,
True
you may
shit.
not know how to make fucking money, and then you're just worthless. Then you have no money and you're just smart.
I really don't even know why I answered smartest now.
No, I was thinking the
Like,
same
I've
way you
completely
did.
swayed
I've been
to
thinking
riches.
about this one. I've been thinking of,
But like, I mean,
you
I
can't
don't know.
lose.
I guess like it depends on like what kind of knowledge I'm learning. Like,
True.
I would definitely want like some magic to be in there.
But like smartest, like everything.
You know, it's like some
You might know magic.
yeah, like I know everything. Magic, time travel. Like I'm very like
All right, now
I mean I'm Gen Z. I
you're
believe in
swinging
all
me.
that. All right. Would you rather be a dragon or a dinosaur?
Just because I hate the Game of Thrones folks out there, I'm going dinosaur.
Since I'm deathly
Triggered.
afraid of the idea
Triggered.
of dinosaurs, I'm
Triggered.
going dragon.
See, okay.
Triggers. For real, I can't believe you don't like Game of Thrones,
All right,
dude.
all
What
right.
the fuck?
Here's the thing. Here's my spiel. I know I would love Game of Thrones, but I also know that I get super addicted to stuff. Hence the
Mhm.
OCD. If I start watching that show, I'm gonna lose about a month of my life. So maybe more.
I mean, I did it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but yeah, but you have college.
Yeah, I know. I don't do shit.
I go to bed at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.
I was gonna say 9 a.m. Party
No.
animal.
I,
Okay, so I don't know why, but dinosaurs really scare the shit out of me.
I don't blame you.
Mostly
They are
because
scary.
the concept of Jurassic Park is absolutely fucking terrifying. So I know it wasn't scary in the 90s or the 80s whenever it came out when that
Mhm.
technology wasn't around for cloning, but being born in 96 and like the first baby sheep being cloned in like 2003, the idea of dinosaurs
It's-
coming
it
back
could
has
happen.
haunted me for a good chunk of my life.
It could happen.
So like it could very much happen. I literally see articles all the time about Japan trying to fuck around with cloning a dinosaur, and I'm like, keep it over there. Keep it on your continent. I don't care.
King Jong Un could do
It's
it.
like, oh, for sure. He could get someone to do it real quick. Also, dragons. I mean, like, you're a fucking dragon. Like the most powerful mythical creature in the world. Okay, well, if you ask certain people, dinosaurs
I
aren't
know.
either.
I was about to ask.
I don't think Mike Pence believes in dinosaurs or some shit like that.
Yeah,
But,
there's a lot of flat earthers that
Dragons are
don't believe in
just-
dinosaurs.
and I don't want to be like the dragon from Game of Thrones. I'd rather be
Ooh, like
one of the
like
dragons from
Toothless?
Dragon Tales.
Oh, Dragon
'Cause-
Tales.
They were pretty cool. What's the Zach and his sister? I've always wanted a twin, so I'd be down to be them.
All
The
right.
conjoined ones. I don't know about being conjoined, but pretty sure there was an episode of True Life about conjoined twins.
I bet you're right. See, I'd be down to be a dragon.
You're down to be a dragon?
I'd be down to be a dragon as long as we're not on Game of Thrones.
Okay, but what dinosaur would you be?
Ooh,
Probably a T-Rex, since they're the top of the food chain.
nah, that's not my style. I always liked
Okay,
Stegosauruses.
to be the underdog? Oh, what are those? I don't know shit about
it's the one.
dinosaurs.
It's like the. I think it's the one with like the horn.
Okay,
Maybe.
is that dinosaur in Land Before Time?
Yes.
And if so, is it part of the group?
I think it's Spike.
Is it Sarah? Because Sarah was, oh, fuck Spike, the whiny
Yo,
one?
yo.
The titty baby?
Oh, come on,
I think we need to go back, or whatever his name was.
dude.
I Stegosaurus. I don't know.
I might be wrong. No, you're right.
Sarah, yeah, she was a badass.
Yes.
Yeah, Spike was. Oh, God, Spike, oh, sorry. Sarah had obedience problems, hella daddy issues, but Spike, yeah, I could. That's a good dinosaur to be.
Well, we got off topic, but that's all right.
That's
I
fine.
think we still, our goal for this is, yeah, we're going to talk about mental health a lot, but we don't want to make this like sad and
This isn't a TED talk.
yeah, exactly. This is not a TED talk. It's just two guys that happen to have mental illness talking and sharing our stories, and we'll get off topic, and that's all right. But we hope that you guys learned something, and we're gonna have some guests on here too once we kind of get the hang of it a little bit better. If there was any mic issues, we're working through it. But I think that was successful. I mean, for the most part.
No, I think it's really good. I don't know. I think I just really want this podcast to be somewhere where people can like 100% listen and like know that we can like. I want it to be fun and upbeat when talking about mental illness because like my work, I have to just sit there and like seriously talk about mental illness and like that rarely hardly gets the point across. Like I like the environment of like joking and
Mm-hmm.
being open. Like we're gonna share a lot of our struggles, which are very vulnerable of us and making us to be truly transparent for y'all. But at the same time, like we're gonna have fun with it. We're not gonna just sit here and just throw things at y'all in a monotone and like lecture-y kind of way. Like we're not the professors. We're the students with y'all in the class. Like just one
that's a great way
large
to
study
put it.
group.
Right. No,
I
absolutely.
think I heard that at a retreat or something.
That's a good one. No, I mean that's kind of the thing. I mean, I'm not gonna say I like joking about it, but it's life. You can't take it too seriously. And
Gotta joke about some of the hard shit.
oh, absolutely.
Mental illness, like obviously outside of this podcast, we both find mental illness to be like we find it serious in this podcast as well, but like our like what we do with our like time outside of this is like all about advocating and working for mental illness. So to be able to come here and just just like have a locker room talk, bullshit about everything, our experiences, and this was just an intro, so this was just kind of for y'all to get to know us and get to see, we'll get to hear who we are and like just how like we're just regular two dudes, like Justin's a family man, I'm a college graduate student, well I'm a graduate student, and so like we're just average people. We work 9 to 5 just like y'all, but we do have mental illness just like some of y'all, and we're gonna have fun about it, because if I sat here and didn't joke about mental illness, my life would be a lot more sad and it'd be a lot more hard.
Right. No, absolutely.
So
so this podcast is going to be available. Right now it's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, and Radio Public. We're still working on getting it on iTunes, but pretty much it just should be available in a couple of days. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this podcast. Again, we're working through the kinks, and we appreciate you guys, taking the time to listen. Hopefully, you can realize that if you do struggle, we really are all in this together, and just remember you're not alone.